We are live. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this latest installment of inThirty 141. And we have a special show, mainly because if I'm hosting, something's going on. And if there's only two of us, something else is going on. So what's going on? Well, both Paul and Justin are actually doing their jobs. You know, the thing 9 to 5. Apparently it goes to 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock. And we don't want to leave you without a story, so obviously you can always listen to Security, but if not, you want an inThirty, I got Tom Webster of Security on the other show, and he's here to help us. We're actually going to talk about messaging service, in particular iMessage. And if you don't know, Adam Pash, former editor of Lifehacker, had this problem. He bought an iPhone, whenever, just like I don't know, 150 other million people, and he went through it and he said, I don't know, this Nexus 5, this S5, this this HTC One, they look really, really good. I want to try it. So he goes, he sets it all up, whether he likes it or not, and now he's waiting for text messages. And he's getting calls from his friends saying, dude, what's going on? I'm sending you text messages. And he goes, I don't know. Turns out there's an iMessage bug where it tries to send it to an iMessage, but because you have an Android phone, it doesn't work. So I'm going to ask Tom, have you ever owned an iPhone?
No, I have not. I've been proudly Android for the life of my smartphone experiences.
So I actually did own an iPhone. I owned the iPhone 3G. And look, I liked it for what it was. It was very good. It was my first smartphone. But then I guess went to the dark side and went Android and never looked back. So I am happy. I never experienced iMessage, but people now swear by it. They don't say, I'm going to text you. They say, I'm going to iMessage you for whatever reason.
Yeah. It's okay. So for people who don't know what iMessage is, I might not have an iPhone, but I am familiar with iMessage. What it is Apple can tell if you and a friend of yours own an iPhone, or we'll get into have owned an iPhone at some point on that phone number. So instead of sending a standard text message, what they do is they just use the data network and send it over Apple's network. It saves you text messages, so you're not burning through texts or getting overages or anything like that. It's generally, I found it to be more reliable and faster when discussing this with other iPhone users. It's a really good idea, except for this one really nasty bug that just got discovered or just got popularized by Adam Pash.
I think it's popularized because I've heard this before, and usually it's swept under the carpet. So when iMessage came out, it was this great idea that they're just going to skip the SMS network. Now, if you listen to the show, you know that I hate text messages. There's a million other ways to contact me that don't involve text messaging. And iMessage was one of them. I have iMessage on my iPad. If you need to contact me via iMessage, I'd much rather that over an SMS. Now, I mean, I much rather Google Talk. I want a messaging system, and we'll get to this later, that's cross-platform. But Apple came out with this iMessage. It picked up really fast. It was seamless. So you start a conversation, and if the person had an iMessage account, it would say iMessage in the bottom where you type. If not, it said SMS. And it went from there, and it seamlessly switched. You had no idea. So what happened to Adam Pash is he got this iPhone, and like I said, he went to Android. They didn't move over, and Apple has no way of canceling iMessage. To Adam or to Apple, Adam's iPhone still works. And,
yeah.
You know.
So what's happening on the technical side of things is you're in a conversation, iPhone to iPhone conversation. You're trying to send from your iPhone a text message to another iPhone. Apple says, hey, these are both iPhones. Let's just use iMessage. But if your friend with the same phone number decides, yeah, I don't really like this iPhone and switches to Android, Apple doesn't do it every time you send a message. It says, hey, this person's got an iPhone, and it says, they get iMessages for life instead of using standard text messages. So now, if your buddy's trying to text you, he's sending iMessages to the iPhone you no longer have. You're no longer sending standard SMS messages. So if your buddy's got an Android phone or he doesn't have another iDevice, he just doesn't get the messages. They just never show up.
And maybe look, this is one of this is probably one of those bugs that nobody thought of until obviously it became a problem. Because when you do your testing and you have your testing devices, you have fake contacts and stuff like that, and probably no one said, "Oh, let me see what happens when I switch," because we all know Apple doesn't necessarily want you switching. They want you, once you buy an iPhone, to love it so much that you're never going to switch.
Apple definitely wants you switching to an iPhone. Yeah. No one at Apple could ever conceive of the possibility of someone leaving their iPhone to go to the land of peasants, to the land of Android, from your high-top mountain kingdom.
Well, they may go to RIM. I mean, RIM, Windows Phone. I mean, we could go to a WebOS device. So
it could be worse than the peasant village.
They just don't, clearly, I mean, Samsung doesn't want you leaving the S5, HTC doesn't want you leaving. So they try to make these devices compelling, and at some point someone said, where is this going? And like maybe Apple employees don't dog food two different phones, but there are a lot of people who do. And I don't know why all of a sudden this came out. iMessage has been around at least 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So like you said, it's probably popularized. So
yeah.
So what did Adam do? Adam was the editor of Lifehacker. His job was to find stories on how to fix things like this. So he calls Apple tech support. And from what I understand, he didn't want to pay for the $20 super crazy support. But basically Apple told him, well, for right now, the best thing you can do is tell all your friends to delete your contact, like straight out delete it, not delete the thread, not change your name, but literally delete you from their phone in all instances, and then re-add you. And Adam made a really good point. People don't know how to do that. They really don't. Imagine walking your grandma. Okay, grandma, hit the person icon, find my name, hold it down, edit, delete. No, not the phone number. You need to delete the whole thing. No, Mom, you're not deleting me. I'm not going away. I just need you to add it back. Just trust me. And that's how the conversation ends up going. Imagine writing these directions down on Facebook. No one's going to do it. On Twitter, no one's going to do it. No one's going to do it. And he says, I can't tell people that. And they really don't have a solution yet for them.
I might have really lazy family members, but honestly, if this happened to one of my family members, I can imagine the conversation going something like this. No, really, it's easy. Just delete my contact and re-add it, and then you'll be able to text me again. Oh, I'll just call you.
Yeah,
okay.
Literally, I'll find another way to deal with you. And it's like, and you know what happens? They forget.
Yeah.
So then you're going to get an angry phone call. I was text messaging you, and you didn't pick up. Remember I told you to switch? Oh, yeah, I didn't do that. Well, can you do it now?
Yeah.
I'll call you.
I go through something similar on Google Voice. My mother constantly sends me these picture texts, but Google Voice doesn't support MMS. So she'll send this stuff all day long, and I will never get it. And she'll say, did you see that great picture I sent you? No, Mom, I didn't.
Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe.
It's making my inbox a little bit lighter.
Well, I mean, I have just telling people Google Voice. What number is this? This is my Google Voice number. I want you to call this from now on. Well, what happened to your other number? In my case, you can still call it. It will go to my cell phone. But I'm at home most of the time now with the baby. It's easier to pick up my cordless phone. So just call that number. But I can call the other number, yes. I'd rather you not, but you can call it, just in case. Will you pick it up? If I can, I will. And this stupid conversation goes on and on. It got to I remember back in the day, every time you switched carriers, you got a new phone number. You had to tell everyone, and people were okay with it. Now it's like, God forbid, you have to edit someone's contact information.
We don't even have to memorize a new phone number. We just have to type in a new phone number, and the rest is done magically. It shouldn't be this big of a deal, but it is. It is. It's the biggest first world problem ever.
I mean, this may be a third world problem. I mean, the third world still texts. This is like the biggest problem for people who have some sort of text-based communication, because everyone wants an iPhone. So on the iPhone 3G, people, well, I guess not, because they don't know about iMessage, but
right.
But either way, but this lends us into the next point of well, if a company has a problem, this is a big problem, and there's no fix right now. There's no good fix. I mean, I feel like there should be. Does Apple have a responsibility to let people know, or is this should be behind until people call them?
Yeah, I wish, and there's got to be a solution on the back-end interface that the person themselves can initiate. Like, if you once had an iPhone, you have an Apple ID. There's got to be like a website somewhere that says, turn off iMessage or disable my iMessage, and then it goes back, it switches everyone's phones to sending SMS again. But I don't know if Apple has those controls built in. They should. I imagine they would, but we don't have that verified. And for Apple to not have a fix to this, by now, because it's not exactly a new problem, it's kind of concerning.
Well, Adam did an update to that, a hidden blog post entry, if you would call it. He's tried all this stuff. Reset his Apple ID, turned off iMessage in the Settings app, log out of Messages in FaceTime. You can't uninstall them, you have to log out. Text stop to the Apple shortcode, remove my device from support profile. Let's see. And what he said, he added a second update, an update to the update, that he was able to fix it specifically for him by opening Settings and going to Message, toggle iMessage to off, then send a text message to that number, and then turn iMessages back on. It seems like there's a switch on Apple's end that says, oh, iMessage isn't on, let me try text messaging. And by switching it off, it seems to have fixed it. The problem is that it's on a phone-per-phone basis.
Yeah, and that's not exactly a one-button solution to explain to your everyman on how to fix this issue.
I mean, the good part is you theoretically can go to the Genius Bar, get through the runaround, but you can at least go there, and they'll try to do, well, I guess you're bringing your Android phone. So, yeah, you really have a problem.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I guess you can bring your Android phone and your iPhone, and you can tell them, look, I moved to Android because I like it better.
You know what they could do? And this might go against, I'm probably angering the Apple gods above. I'm watching for lightning strikes in the shape of Steve Jobs. But what they could do is they could pull a Google and put an iMessage app onto Android.
Ooh.
Then no matter where you are, you get your iMessages, just like Google Hangouts is everywhere.
Well, technically, they do. They do have that. So iMessage does have it. The problem is, like you said, so if you have to have a Mac to have iMessage. They promised that they would open source or make it standards-based, so Trillion and all those other apps can take it. To this day, they haven't, just like they said with FaceTime. But you need a Mac. Now, I have a Mac, so I can do it. The problem is that there's so many other ways, and you are the king of segues into how to better communicate. And the good part is, so we said this, and this goes back, I don't know, 30 or 40 episodes. We're talking the middle of last year. We were talking about different messaging platforms. And one of the requirements I have is that wherever I am, I want to be able to get the messaging service. And I've said, as surprisingly as it is, Facebook Messenger by far is the best service I've had.
Really?
I really, really like Facebook Messenger. So I tell people, just put your name, put a picture of you, put like some small piece of identifiable information so they know that it's you. You don't have to put your street address or something, maybe just your name and your picture and the fact that you're a male, I guess. And then just have this Facebook account. You have I don't know, a billion plus people that have it. Everyone who has an iPhone probably has a Facebook. And then from there, you can contact. It goes to all your devices. It's device agnostic. It goes to your PC, your Mac, your Linux box, whatever have you, and it works. It really does work. But most of my friends are on Google Hangouts, and Google Hangouts has gotten much, much better in the last 6 months.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has.
So if you have an Android phone, it just works. It's seamlessly tied into my Chromebook, to just about everything, to the point that I say, well, I really don't need the Facebook profile and the group settings and everything else. And my thing is that most of the people have moved off of Facebook, I guess now, for Instagram. So chatting is getting harder and harder. So they still have email, so we still move on with Google Hangouts. And you can do the video chat, which is always good.
The older I get, it seems the more people like jump onto a messaging service, use it for about 3 to 6 months, and then jump right back to just emailing me like they're trying to text me. Just, short and sweet emails because they know it'll go everywhere, and I'll see it.
Now, I'm probably older than you. But
yes, probably.
Probably older.
By a little bit. But
the sad part is, I wish I had exactly the scenario you described. Like, I beg, because people feel the need to text message, and I try my hardest to explain to them. Sure, you can text message Google Voice, you can text message my real cell phone number, but send an email. Send any other way of doing it other than SMS, and I'll pick it up. I mean, I don't think I have Snapchat. I don't think I have Snapchat installed on my phone. But if you want, I'll put Snapchat on. I don't care. Just find a way to do this. And that leads us into, so maybe this is why Facebook bought WhatsApp. I mean, they paid $16 billion for or $19 billion with the stock options. Maybe that's why they bought it, so they know people weren't really using Facebook Messenger. It was easier to say that WhatsApp is a good SMS replacement. It didn't hinder the experience, and the barrier to entry was just a little bit on the front end telling people, why don't you try WhatsApp? And it seems to pick up. I mean, we don't worry about SMS fees, but a lot of the world does. So maybe my guess is maybe WhatsApp is trying to take over, and if you're not an iPhone, then some other service is there.
Yeah, I like sticking to Hangouts. It does really everything I want it to do currently.
And I agree with that, absolutely.
But there's some days when a good old-fashioned email will suffice. I like Hangouts because it gives me the ability to, of course, do these video chats, which we're doing through Google Hangouts.
Well, it uses that dirty word. That Hangouts are using uses that social network that we're not allowed to talk about.
Yes, we cannot say that network.
Because that network is a ghost town and no one uses it. And
it's the Twit plus linked book, right?
It's you know what? It's like who must not be named. We can't talk about it, but yet everyone has one. They secretly have one. They begrudgingly use it, but yet when a photo gets auto-awesomed or backed up some people put it like the URL, the short code in their lower third. Yeah. These crazy people who are still using that ghost town of a network. I know. So it's just like for all those people using Hangouts, you know what you're really using.
Mm-hmm.
Just pointing it out there. I will say, jump in. The water is fine.
Yeah, it's there's so many people that complain because this happened when Twitter got really popular and CNN's just like, oh, what's this Twitter thing? This is crazy. We should do Twitter, and everyone started getting on Twitter. I had so many people come up to me and say, yeah, this is the most useless thing in the world. I signed up, but it doesn't do anything. Well, who did you follow? Who's in your list? And they said, follow? It's a social network. It's literally of no use to you unless you follow people, post interesting content, comment on things, and have a conversation. It's quite literally the most useless tool in the world. What if I bought a hammer and I never, ever, ever bought nails? And I complained about the hammer. That's what these people do. I don't get it.
Well,
Rant over.
I'll even do. I mean, I know people who have whole conversations on Twitter. They don't have an SMS client, or they don't know their phone number, or they don't know their email. So what do? They just message them on Twitter. And it seems like as we go on, more and more of these social networks want to put some sort of connected dialogue in. Instagram, you took a photo, you shared it. People hit the little heart, and I think they commented. Now you can send private photos. Apparently last week, Snapchat released some new update. The teenagers were doing, what is that, Christmas tantrum? Christmas tantrum boy?
No.
It's like they got like the present of Christmas, like, I don't know, last week. The greatest update ever to Snapchat, which, by the way, is not a good service. We would recommend.
It's not.
The EFF did something today that said, no, don't
run away.
Yes.
Run far away.
Use Facebook instead of Snapchat.
Yeah. Snapchat actually, was it the FCC? They got slapped down pretty hard because they said, once you send a snap, like 5 seconds later after it's viewed, it's gone forever from our servers. And they couldn't prove that, and they couldn't substantiate it because they knew it was patently false. So I want to say the FCC slapped them down. But I'll have to look that up.
The FCC did something, right?
Yeah.
They didn't do anything right today, but
FTC. The FTC.
Okay.
They agreed to settle.
Of course they agreed to settle. I mean, but going back to this whole iMessage thing, I mean, that's the whole topic. So it goes back to this sort of lock-in. So you see that this is what you want to do, and so you agree to it. And just like we're talking about with Google, the two of us are locked into Google, and everyone knows that. I mean, when Harry was on the show, he was locked into Apple. What they're trying to do with all these companies is trying to lock you in. And that's why people go back to email, they fall back to SMS, because no matter where you are on whatever carrier, you're going to be able to get that message. And
unless you've owned an iPhone at some period of your life.
And you used iMessage. Well, you had to turn on iMessage. Yeah. And you're attached to your phone. Right now, I don't even know where my phone is. It's probably downstairs. So if you send a message to it, I can't get it. I won't see it. But if you use any of these other services, you may. But the other interesting point is, who cares what service you use? You get all these notifications anyway, right? You get a text message the same way you get a Snapchat, you get a Facebook message, you get an email. It's a notification bar on the top, or a little badge on your iPhone, or I don't know how Windows Phone does it. But does it matter now? Does it matter how you send an information? Does it matter? Is there a priority that people set when they look at their notifications?
For me, yes. If I see a Hangouts message, I will look at that before I look at a text message. And if I see an email, I will look at that last. Because the email tends to be some sort of developer mailing list that I'll catch up on before I write code against that library. Or if it's a text message, it's probably a family member, and honestly, they don't have to be responded to immediately. If it's on Hangouts, it could be, a friend that I talk to regularly. It could be the fiance. It could be people I work with sending me messages. So I check Hangouts first. But in the end, I think really the only thing that matters for a messaging service is whether or not I can get to it from this desk, from that phone, from that Chromebook, from the tablet over there, from all of my devices. If I can get to my messages, I think it's a good service. An email works literally everywhere.
And let's add to that. Once it's seen, it goes away. Or it's not new.
Right.
So, well, I mean, with me, I look at the notification sheet. I mean, I don't necessarily care the order, but usually it says, so-and-so text messaged you, so-and-so hung out with you, or send you a Hangout message, so-and-so used Facebook Messenger, so-and-so emailed you. And in one swipe, I can see everything. I mean, I guess if I can't see it, and you know what? iPhone has that. There is also that notification shade, which they probably patented, even though Android's been doing it for years, has that same thing. So which I choose first is a different story, but I do see it all.
Yeah, it's not that difficult, and if you're happy with iMessage, if iMessage is working for you, use it. Keep using it. If you're completely and utterly concerned about security, if you want your messages safe, if you want to support people that are doing a good job and not get your messages on your computer, use Threema. And that's honestly why I don't use it more, is because A, my friends won't pay for apps, and B, I can't get my messages on my computer, which I understand. I understand the technical limitations completely, and that's why it limits my usability.
And we both have it, we both love it, but we still message via Hangouts
Yeah.
for that exact reason, because we want it everywhere. And if you're ingrained in Apple's system, you do get it. You do get iMessages everywhere. The problem is that as soon as you move, we see that problems arise. And it's probably the same thing if you somehow got on Badu, not Badu. Badu. No, Samsung's messaging system.
Oh, that one. Yes.
Or you got onto GroupMe that was bought up, or on Skype. Skype's another example. I mean, Skype is more ubiquitous everywhere, but if you're at work and you can't download software, Skype doesn't have an online platform.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to find another way, and it's just, I think people should just learn to check all their networks. Find a way to get, it needs to have push notification, and you get it.
Yeah. Well, I think that one of the main issues is push notifications on the computer, which isn't, some services do it, some don't, but, like you said, I can't see my Skype notifications on the PC if I've just got a web browser.
And when you do have these different tablets, you buy an HTC phone and a Samsung tablet, and they should work the same, but who knows? And then you have an iPad. Your job gives you an iPad, and you use a Mac at work, and now you're learning all these different things, and having a good messaging platform makes sense. And
the web browser.
Yeah. Everything just gets solved. And iMessage apparently worked until they figured out this bug, and now you have to send emails to all your contacts, put Facebook messages up, and all this. This is what you have to do, and hope that people do it. It's almost easier to put a Facebook group and say, "I lost my phone. Send me your digits."
It might be easier to switch back to the iPhone.
Never ever do a Facebook group that says "send me your digits," because I will then take them all and then put them on mailing lists, because now I have your name and your phone number.
Oh, it's the best scam in the world.
What you do instead is you tell people you lost your phone, and tell them just text message you with your name, and you do all the work. You lost your phone. So, okay, we're done. We're not going to bore you for 2 more minutes, so let's end. I want to thank Tom for coming on last minute. Everyone, apparently, like I said, had jobs in the beginning, so thank you, Tom.
Who has jobs anymore? Come on.
Yeah, I know. Who actually works? I mean, all we do is sit here on podcasts for you once or twice a week. So
yeah.
Okay, Tom. Thank you again, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Sounds good.
All right.